Welcome
Hi.
back to Soul Sisters Talk. There's been so much happening in our world right now and today. And so the idea of talking about prejudice and our thoughts around it and our experiences with it, I thought would be relevant. What do you guys think?
I think that's a great thought, and I think prejudice has been around forever.
It's definitely shaped how I think about the world. I grew up in the South and in Virginia, and when at the time I was growing up, it was either you're white or you're not.
But for me, what I realized is it wasn't anything extreme, but all of this of what's happening now is just making me actually reflect on my life. Because sometimes you just dismiss it or you just think, oh, it's a part of it. And then you just keep moving. Okay, that's just how it is. And then you keep moving. But then I realized like there was things that made me feel embarrassed of being Indian. And somebody would ask, did you put mud on your skin? And you're right, people would only know white or black. They wouldn't know any in between. And even then there wasn't that many Hispanics even in America. So there wasn't that much diversity in skin color. So it was like very much boxes and categories. And then they're like, why do you wear the red dot on your head? And it's like dot busters and all this stuff would happen. So then I would feel embarrassed. I think it flipped in college where somewhere there was an appreciation for the culture and all that stuff that happened, but it was like these little things and that shape who you are, like how you're saying, Shefali, that I can connect with, because even now in adulthood where I'm much more expanded and comfortable in my overcome it and still be so strong, be able to move with conviction, yet and not get stuck in being a victim.
I'm coming up with two thoughts. One is that I think, like how you were saying that, people, when I came from India to the US, they would ask, did you go to school on elephants? So, and I was thinking like, what are you talking about? So I think it's lack of education. So one for sure is we need to educate. And then the other thing that I'm thinking of was how we need to have a really strong support system. And the more and more we keep having our conversations, I keep realizing that having a very strong support system is really important, because they need to always have that reinforcement that you are amazing, you are beautiful, and you are unique exactly how you are, rather than feeding into that thought that they come with or we come up with, really having a strong support system.
I like
The question is about, well, have you experienced prejudice? You could also be the one who's perpetrating prejudice. And I myself, and I think any one of us, if we're really looking at it, you have to look at it both ways, because it's at the base root of it, all of us are making judgments and perceptions about people and situations all the time. And it's based on where you stand at that moment, which may be based on where you were, the year before, with your family, with whatever influences you've had. And so your current perception is going to be based on things that have influenced you up until this point in time that we're at right now. And by definition, it's limited. Your judgment is just one facet of what may actually be there. And so to have this conversation, I think it's also, we have to constantly reflect on what is the basis of that judgment. Why is it okay for me to think this or that? And that only really happens when something is mostly shoved in your face and you have to question and look at it. Most of the time we don't question and look at our judgments. And does it rise to the level of a prejudice?
In our own mind, like maybe we're thinking, oh, we're receiving it and you're making me feel different or not good, or I feel targeted, but then we could also be doing it.
Exactly.
To somebody else in some other way.
Exactly.
For sure we're doing it. For sure we're doing it. I mean, we're doing it in everything. You gravitate towards someone and you don't talk to the other person. That's a prejudice. That's a bias.
It's not just what can we do in order to navigate situations where we felt like we've been discriminated against, so that we can keep speaking and keep moving with confidence, but it's also having the awareness to question our own beliefs.
And maybe that's what I mean. So maybe start by looking at our support system, our network, like Rashmi's saying. You're saying, instead of getting stuck in, oh, they said this to me, maybe we observe what kind of tendencies we have and what ideas and thoughts we have. And if we can catch it, and I think if we catch it, then in that space it dissolves. Once you, if you can even be aware of it, then it can dissolve in that time, at that time itself, which can also help maybe move past feeling oppressed, you know. But then how to harbor that anger or that hurt to something that can be productive and strong, you know, because I think it is really important to educate and keep moving and advocate and do the things we need to do, you know, on a macro scale, like vote and do those things. But on an individual level, I feel like it's also there. So what are those things that we can just keep, so you don't feel despair or you lose hope? Where can one find that hope? What do you think the secret is? I do feel that everything you guys said, the network is super important for me personally. That's one of my go-tos, where I can have someone be my voice of reason and be like, am I overreacting? Am I feeling that? And so then someone can kind of give me that clarity of thought. And this is a new perspective, Shefali, you're saying, about like really actually even looking at it, you know, dissecting our own thought and mind around it, about what are our judgments on others. But I'm also thinking on a way of having the energy to keep moving and persevering.
You know what I think, and I feel really sad to say this, and I'm not being a pessimist, but I don't know if I'm going to see it on a change on a macro level in my lifetime. I really don't believe that. But what I do believe is that I can see change on a micro level. And so for me, I think the solution is helping each person just be so strong that you can just rise above it. And then slowly, hopefully someday, um, it brings a bigger change. But for me, the solution that I look at right now is only on an individual level. That's my thought.
Mm.
I think at the individual level, there's the emotional aspect of it, which can make you feel shut down. And so for that, we always come back to, because this is what we know, the three of us, is, you know, those practices for us, it's meditation, but those practices that keep you internally resilient and strong, that's at the individual level. But then in the outside world, depending on, not every prejudicial action are you gonna, you know, take steps on, but for the one that might matter to you, then making it bigger. And it's not just about you. It's about, like, what about all the other moms, or what about all the other women, or what about all the other Black people, or all the other Indian Americans, or, you know, if you make it bigger, then if it means that much to you, that particular thing that needs to change, then making it bigger, you can also have a vision which is gonna harness the anger and the feeling of inequity to push you into some action. And so again, it takes like something that the seed of which could be pain, and it takes it into something so much bigger, so that actually you end up being, in a way, energized by having a purpose.
You know, that's what I have found has given me strength. Now that I hear you talking, it's actually those moments that made me become a little bit, each one has made me feel more comfortable in my skin. You know, it's like those little moments. So you mentioned meditation. For me also, I feel with anger, breath work is a huge way to even experience meditation, and service, like just getting my own self out of the way. If I can find that cause, or if I just feel like, even if it's not huge, but just, okay, I'm I'm just focusing on making the meal that I need to make, and I'm just getting my body into some sort of action, then it somehow has saved me in certain situations, or my own mind from reeling on, oh my gosh, I can't believe they so-and-so said this, or I can't believe da da da, and they don't even, and then that tricky switch of poor me, so we can just kind of switch from that poor me to what can I do to stay strong and be in service, kind of get myself out of the way, then there's some healing that happens. I mean, that's been my experience.
That's great. That's beautiful.
So if anyone who is watching has enjoyed the conversation, we enjoy you and we ask you to join our tribe. We'd love to have you come be a part of these conversations.
And like, comment, subscribe. So we'll see you on the next episode. If you have ideas, then definitely write in our comments what you would like to talk about, and then you can join in on our conversation.